Okay, so hello everybody, and welcome back to the Cage Corporation, or indeed the Retro Cage, because it's episode 21. I'm going to do another discussion as opposed to any game reviews or anything. I'm still trying to work on a few various projects and get everything back together, and I want to show what kind of news about one of the most influential games on me playing a broader spectrum of retro games than I would perhaps otherwise have played, and that is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. Now, I want to preface this whole discussion really by saying that this was one of the most influential titles for me playing broader games. Up until I saw my friend Antonia play this, not this particular copy, but playing Ocarina of Time, I wanted. Up until then, I'd really only been playing PlayStation 1 and an Amiga. I've always been playing old games, but as I say, up until I played or saw this game being played on a certain console, I'd never really been particularly aware of the wider gaming world. I'd never even seen a game cartridge for a home console. Obviously, for Game Boy, I'd seen that, but I'd never seen a games cartridge for a home console before. And obviously, at the time, I thought it was huge. Now I don't at all. It fits nice in your hand, but obviously at the time, I thought it was massive. And I'd never heard of the N64 either, and I think that's quite a couple of crucial points to make there. So I really want to preface my discussion on the Ocarina of Time by saying that. So I saw this game being played, as say by Antonio and Honor. These are two friends of mine. You won't know who either of them are unless you're Adam, Dylan, or Joe. But that's why I'll use their names for this, so because I can tell them the story. But essentially, yeah, I went round to Antonia's house, and she had an N64 again, as I say, never seen one before, and they were playing Ocarina of Time. I'd never seen that before, and I just thought it was the most incredible looking thing ever. Not in terms of graphics necessarily, but it was just a very different kind of game from what I was really sort of used to. I mean, I was playing stuff like Tomb Raider and Wipeout. I've been playing a lot of sports games at this point. I still play a few sports games now. I still like sports a lot, but sports video games are really for me. I really sort of like Football Manager, but that's by the by. So I saw this and I was like, wow, I really want an N64. I want to play this. And I sort of had faffed around with it for a bit, and it was alright. But I really liked seeing the style of game that it was, and I was really impressed by it. And at this point, I just got myself a job. Not long after this, I don't believe, and I bought a Jaguar. So that was my first proper games console. But the second one I really sort of got was the Nintendo 64, and I went to Cash Converters. I saw it in the window there. It's £50, and it had like 3 controllers and some games. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll see if it's got that Ocarina of Time. So I went in there, and I said, oh, okay, so I was asked to expressed my interest in it. Said what games you got for it. They turned on like Wipeout, and I was like, well, I've already got Wipeout, and then it was like WrestleMania, and I was like, oh god. And they were turned out a couple of other cacky games. I was like, well, maybe not then. And then they just pulled out Ocarina of Time, and I was like, boom, done. Obviously, it wasn't this one. This I bought this yesterday. I had just a cartridge on its own. But yeah, I took it home and I played it, and I loved it. And then I kind of stopped loving it so much. And this comes to my sort of point about Ocarina of Time. Now, I was going to review this a very long time ago when I was shooting or doing or really involved with the original series of these Retro Cage videos, or Retro Riff at the time, as they were. I was really interested in trying to do an Ocarina of Time. I kind of imagined that the 20th episode that I did would be about Ocarina of Time, because I felt like I had an opinion to give that was very controversial, as you're going to find out. But I didn't really, at the end of the day, think I was going to bring all too much to the table, and I really just wanted to share my opinion on the game, rather than necessarily telling everyone about it and going through all its various aspects. So in fact, I'm just going to share my opinion, and my opinion is that The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is nowhere near as good as everyone says it is. A lot of people, and it's kind of died down a little bit, but a lot of people think that Ocarina of Time is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Some people say it's like the best game of all time. I'm going to say that it is inherently wrong. I mean, obviously it's inherently wrong because it's a value judgment, and that will vary depending on Some people will say like FIFA 18 is the greatest game of all time or something. Obviously, it's not, but you can't deny that because it's a value judgment. It's based on personal preference. But I'm going to say that as an actual product, as an actual video game, this is not the best game of all time. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit further than that, and I'm going to argue that this isn't even the best game of 1998. So, let's talk about why I think that. Because I do like this game, and I really want to preface that I think I really like this game, and it does mean something to me. It's not just a random game. Without playing Ocarina of Time, I might not have got into such a broad spectrum of retro games, so I want to make that implicitly clear. But when you consider what else is on the wider spectrum of games around at this point, I mean, one of the biggest arguments is that the Legend of Zelda is a real good story. Yeah, and I kind of, yeah, the story's all right, but the the story games like Final Fantasy VII the year before were doing story stuff like Flashback on the Mega Drive was actually got a was doing cinematic and storytelling, so it's hardly a pioneering title in that regard. And indeed, previous Zelda games, I would argue, had better stories. I think Link to the Past has got a better, more interesting story than Ocarina of Time. And then Majora's Mask after it, I would again say has a more interesting and engaging story, narrative, if you prefer, than Ocarina of Time. So there's that. I also think another big thing that people sort of tend to say is how great the puzzles are. Again, the puzzles are one of the worst parts for me. I hate the puzzles. The puzzles and how obtuse they are. Sometimes they are just so ridiculous. It's obscene. I've been stuck on so many things. I got stuck on the boss battle of the mirror, with the mirror Ganon thing, because I didn't know what I was doing because I was an idiot. Um, but that's not necessarily a puzzle per se. But so many of the puzzles involved it's really obtuse. I felt, at least when I was playing it. I haven't finished it, by the way. I got about halfway through or so, but I felt that they were really obtuse, really difficult, and needlessly so. And they kind of just ruined the fun for me at that particular moment in time. Because if I was halfway through, say, a long stint, or so I felt at the time, it was a good couple of hours into my play session, and then got stuck on a puzzle. I find that a very jarring thing because there's only so much you can just keep wandering around. And a lot of people say about the explorative elements of the Ocarina of Time. And again, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say that I think that for me, that's not necessarily, and this is a bit more of a personal thing as opposed to a general sort of logical statement or whatever. But I think that the problem with the Ocarina of Time is that I'm not a very explorative person. I don't really do just pointlessly wandering around in games very often. Um, I mean, games like, say, Oblivion or Fallout 3, I'd be like, what is my objective? All right, I will go and do that then. I might wander off, maybe, but I'm still gonna go to do the thing, and then I do the thing, and then that's it, and then I come back. And it's the same with the Legend of Zelda. And often I found, and I could just be remembering this wrong because until today I hadn't played it for quite a while, but I seem to recall that I couldn't even remember what I was supposed to do for the story. Like, to advance the plot, to get to the next point, I had to go to a mountain. I think I had to go up Death Mountain or to something. I don't know. And I don't remember that at all and had no idea what I was supposed to do. And I had to ask my friends what I was supposed to be doing. I had to go on the internet I was supposed to be doing, eventually figured it out. And that really annoyed me. That really kind of ruined my experience. And again, a lot of it is like optional stuff. But unless you've read the manual, which I got a cartridge version, I guess you probably wouldn't know that. Um, it feels like it's supposed to be an open world, and a lot of people say it's just like huge open world for the time. I'm going to point to a load of games in and around the era that were not too dissimilar in world size. I mean, you've got to look at games like Legacy of Kain, which was a huge seamless world. That was pretty big. I mean, I can't remember if there were proper levels in Legacy of Kain, but I don't seem to think there were. That was a seamless loading world. I might have played completely differently, but it's the principle of the thing. And obviously, you had big, not again so much levels, but you had like a big area like Metal Gear Solid in the same year. And I'm going to come back to Metal Gear Solid because a lot of people also say that Metal Gear Solid is one of the best games of all time. And I'm going to disagree on that one as well, but that's for another time. Um, but I think the problem with Ocarina of Time is that it's inherently not the best. I don't think it's the best Zelda game. I don't think it's the best um, game of 1998, and I don't think it's the best N64 game necessarily. There are a lot of good games, and I think part of the problem is this huge hype that builds up around Ocarina of Time. And the kind of people that are real fans of Ocarina of Time, and the people that are going to sort of say, oh, it's the best thing ever, it's the best thing ever, it's the best thing ever. And stuff like getting stuck on puzzles is just like, well, what the hell? Or this wandering around going, how am I supposed to do a thing when I can't fit 200 rupees in my purse or something? And they're supposed to say, oh, you're supposed to go and do an exploring thing. You're supposed to wander off. It's like, but I was doing something else when I went through the village. So I just went through the village because I was off on a quest, or to go to the next dungeon or whatever. It's like, oh well, that's not how you're supposed to play it. It's a certain type of play style that seems to benefit people playing Ocarina of Time. And if you don't play like that, you actually get a pretty unsavory experience. And I felt that when I first played it through. Now I say this because as I say, I've just purchased another copy. My N64 was out of action for quite a while, and I saw it for what I thought was actually a very good price, and it really was rather. So I picked it up, and I'm going to really sort of play for it for about an hour and a half just now, and I'm going to go and play it again, and I'm going to watch this video back once I've started getting right back into it. And I'm going to possibly follow that. I'm probably going to do a follow up. The first time I've planned to do quite a few follow ups to videos that I've done, but I think I'm actually going to do a proper follow up to this one at some point after I've played Ocarina of Time for a while. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see what I think and whether or not my opinions change. But for now, that's a general sort of musing on my thoughts about this game. It might not have been particularly clear and directed at all times, but that's my general opinion on Ocarina of Time. That's what I think about the Ocarina of Time. So if you share my opinion, let me know down in the comment section below. If you completely disagree with me and think I'm a massive idiot, you know what to do. Just liked if you liked it, so I know you liked it, and I'm going to do more videos like this. But well, until the next time, I'm going to go carry on playing this, and see you in the next video. You take it easy.